Hello, this is Santomassimo with the Massimo Show. And yes, it's time to revisit the 7 steps to your best year yet. Now, in our last episode, we went through steps 1 through 4. You reviewed your transactional history over the last year. You reviewed your activities, what you actually did. Then you reflected on those activities, right? What worked, what didn't? And yes, I challenged you to identify what held you back. So it's time to set new goals, new visions, right? New challenges, opportunities for the upcoming year. So does that mean we got 3 more steps to go? And we're going to get to those now in this episode of the Massimo Show. Can't wait, buckle up. Hey, and don't forget, download the 7 steps to your best year yet workbook on our website, massimo-group.com. That's massimo-group.com. You may want to have that open as we share with you the next and final 3 steps to your best year yet. Let's get going. Hi, this is Santomassimo, and welcome to the Massimo Show. The objective of the Massimo Show is to share how you can maximize your personal, professional margin. That's right. Let's make more money in less time. Let's turn chaos into clarity, confusion into confidence, and income into real wealth. Along with sharing my insight on how I grew a multi-million-dollar professional business, we're going to bring you the expert advice from a variety of authors, consultants, and thought leaders who will provide the tools you need to maximize your own personal and professional margin. Welcome to the Massimo Show. Here's the good news. Now you're in position. You're in position to reflect. You reflected. You identified restrictions. Now it's time to adjust. And we call this step the reposition step. Think about it. So far, if you follow the steps I did, you've done a lot of work. And how can you reposition yourself to make next year your best year yet? Well, I want to explore with you a couple of things. And also, this is the point where you're going to draft some goals for next year. Now, this is more of a whiteboard exercise. Let me reiterate that. This is not commitment time yet. We're not there, but more of that whiteboard side. So you probably all read about SMART, S-M-A-R-T, SMART goals, right? They're specific, they're measurable, they're actionable, they're realistic, and they're time-bound. I love the best-selling author, Michael Hyatt, and he actually threw out a term called SMARTer goals. And the E and the R stands for exciting. That's great to have an exciting goal, and relevant, right? The goals that are relevant and they're moving you forward, right? So I like this idea of SMARTer goals. So can we define some SMARTer goals, right? And let's break down goals to certain types of goals you may be considering. And again, I'm not committing to anything yet. I want you to consider some goals that you may evaluate for yourself. Number 1, a personal goal. Yep. Now, this one may be the most challenging goal of all because, well, it's all about you, your family, and or your relationships. I can't tell you how many times I've set up a date night goal with me and my wife. Only to look back and realize, man, could I have done better, right? But with a new year is a new opportunity. So I want you to set a personal goal right now. And remember, try to put it in that SMARTer context. Goal number 2, a self-development goal. Yep, probably one of the biggest ones you have is this self-development goal. You've got yourself where you are right now. Again, you've got yourself where you are right now. But can you, in your present form, move yourself to the next level? Perhaps you need to change. Maybe it's something you need to enhance or a skill you need to develop. Again, maybe it's just taking a course, maybe some personal training or just getting a designation or even getting a coach. Getting a coach may be something that you may be interested in. And of course, the Massimo Group is a coaching organization. And you have our website, and you can go there if you wish to explore what we may be able to do together. But more importantly, I want you to define for yourself some self-development goals. Now let's talk about a mental goal. A mental goal, how are you going to stay sharp? How are you going to make sure you're always growing mentally? Perhaps, maybe it's reading more books, right? And I don't like that word more. More is the worst word in coaching world. There's no such thing as more. You got to set a specific goal. So maybe you read 1 book a month. Keep it simple, right? Maybe if some of you don't like to read at all, maybe you're going to listen to 1 book a month. And then as you move forward, you'll get to 1 book every 2 weeks and eventually 1 book every week. Of course, you have to work as well. and you can listen to books, read books, but reading books I have found to be one of the best ways as far as a mental goal. So think about what you can do. And there's other ways to have a mental goal to stay sharp, but think about what you can do from a mental side. Now, a few more goals you got to think about. Certainly a social goal. Look, we all need to be social. And our world especially, I understand and I respect and I appreciate where you all are, right? We're entrepreneurs, we're solopreneurs, we're independent contractors, or small business owners. And it's hard sometimes. And yes, it's lonely. It is lonely sometimes if we're sitting, especially if we're working at home, right? We're not in a common space. We're not in a WeWork or a shared space. We're working in our home or our kitchen, or wherever it might be, right? Trying to build a business. It can get lonely. So I really want you to make some social goals. Social goals, of course, means, more time with your friends. However, I want you to think both in terms of personal and professional goals here. Now, we talked about personal marketing early on. I think that was in step 2, the activities. But I want you to think about what you can do from the social side, both to build your business, right? More networking, more events, more conferences, as well as build your circle of influence on a personal level. Social goals are huge. Absolutely, physical goals need to be addressed. It's amazing how many of our guests on the Massimo show do something consistently physically. They're either working on the Peloton, or they're swimmers, or they're runners, or they work out all the time, or they're tennis players, right? People love to work out. It keeps them sharp. I have to work out every day or I get cranky. And I don't want to get cranky. My wife will tell me, hey, go work out. Go work out. And she's right. So what are your physical goals? I don't mean say, hey, okay, I'm going to run a triathlon. That's not what I'm talking about here. I want you all, just like in a prospecting goal, let's make some win streaks, right? Build up some win streaks. That's great. Start small and move forward from there. So some of you maybe just, hey, I'm going to go on a 20-minute walk every day. Great. Others of you saying, hey, I'm going to run 20 miles every week. Again, that depends on who you are, what you're doing, but physical goals are so important to keep you sharp. And last but not least, I want you to create a financial goal. A financial goal. Now, I know most of you want to discuss and focus on your financial goals, and we do ask our clients to set financial goals, absolutely, but I want you to be realistic. Be realistic. And make it relevant. Now, you might be saying, hey, I'm going to earn $1 million next year. Great. Let's go back to step 1 and reflect your transactions, your history. And if you're only making 100,000, 150,000, 200,000, now that's still a great income. I understand. Don't set a goal to make $1 million. It's just unrealistic. Your transaction history will give you the benchmark, or at least the platform for growth of what you should set moving forward. By the way, before you set your financial goal, certainly transactional history is one variable. Look at your pipeline, look at your current pipeline, see what opportunities you have. That's another key variable when setting that financial goal. So that's it. It's time to reposition. It's time for you to say, hey, here are some of the key goals for me going into next year, right? So again, download the workbook, download the template, download the exercises off our website, and put down those goals. And that's it. That completes the 5th step of the 7 critical steps to making next year your best year yet. Hi, this is Rod Santomassimo, president and founder of the Massimo Group. And did you know that for over the past 11 plus years, we've worked with thousands of independent contractors, solopreneurs, and small business owners just like you in repositioning their and or their team's efforts so they can build the personal, professional practice they've always dreamed of. We provide coaching programs for all levels of experience, earnings, and yes, success. So if you're finally ready to get off that transaction treadmill and chasing deals that are growing nowhere and start building the personal, professional business and life consisting of greater wealth and more time, well, check us out at Massimo.coach. That's Massimo.coach. Okay, let's move on to step 6, and that is the reaffirmation. Now, in the first 5 steps, we did a lot of work, right? Identifying, reflecting, repositioning, looking at the restrictions. A lot of work was done. And then this reposition step we talked about just before this was to get you in a mindset of setting goals, right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at focusing first on, let's focus first on the financial. let's take some time to identify how you're going to achieve your financial goal. How many transactions do you need to complete to reach that goal? Remember now, it's a 12-month goal. So whatever your financial number may be, let's assume that it's, for this sake, let's say you're going to complete 15, 20, heck, for some of you, 5 transactions. For some of you, 500 transactions, depending on the service that you're offering to the marketplace. But I want you to find out how you're going to create those transactions. Understand the velocity you need going into the year to achieve the goal you set to achieve. And again, it's got to be realistic and it's got to be relevant. So let's take an example. Let's say you're providing a service and the average income from a transaction, I'm throwing it out for math's sake, is $20,000. Now, it might be $200, maybe $200,000, but let's say it's $20,000. And you set a goal for, well, let's say $500,000. Well, how many transactions do you need, right? 5 is 100, another 5 is 500, 25 transactions. You would need 25 transactions over a year to close to get to that position for a financial goal. Now, here's the critical part. What are the key initiatives you must put in place for you to develop yourself, for you to move forward so you can achieve the financial goals? What particularly in your business must take place? Think about it. What particularly in your business must take place? Think of smarter goals. I don't want to hear, hey, I need to prospect more, or I should probably create a blog. Again, from a coach standpoint, that doesn't mean anything. That I can't look at from a smarter goal. What are the steps you need to take? That's really what I'm going to start to craft here. We're not there yet. We're just reaffirming what we got to get to, right? I want to start thinking about those goals. A second example might be you want to create better relationships for you in your marketplace. And from that, look at your presence and the opportunities to secure maybe more referrals. Another example might be, hey, I really need to engage a strong assistant. And I need to do so by XYZ, a certain date, a certain time, a certain month, because that person will allow me to do the following, right? So to get these goals, first, I need that assistant in place. Think about the steps you need, right? So if you need to build your team with some members, think about that. Maybe you need to identify a robust contact management system. When will that get done? Again, this is only a point right now. I want you to think about 2 things, and this is really important. I want to think about only 2 goals right now. Now, I know I outlined several goals for you early on, the mental, the social, the physical, right? The prospecting, the financial. I outlined all those goals in our prior step. For right now, I really want you to set just 2 goals. Why? Because of the thousands of clients we've had the privilege of working with, I will tell you that the top 2 ideas that will help you go further than anything else is just 2 goals. And that's it, just 2 goals. You can identify the 2 goals that will help you move forward for the year. And yeah, you can have more, but I want you to focus on these 2 goals. Hey, this is Rod Santomassimo, and we always tell our coaching clients that knowing isn't doing. That's right, don't kid yourself. In fact, in my new book, Don't Kid Yourself, Knowing Isn't Doing, Build the Business and Life You Desire, I lay out many of our Massimo methods that we share with our clients to help them transform their lives. My new book, Knowing Isn't Doing, is going through a soft launch that will happen in March of 2020, and then a big national launch in September 2020. For more information, check out knowingisn'tdoing.com. Okay, before we move forward, stop, take a deep breath. I want you to visualize now. Now, this is where, if you're driving your car, don't close your eyes. Just think about this. I want you to visualize. I'll lose a lot of you here. I get that. Visualization is something, right? That affirmation. I get those signs. We're getting there. This is an important step. So I want you to start thinking right now of some of the qualitative issues. I want you to visualize what will happen when, not if, you achieve these goals. What is your life going to be like? What's the vision behind that? What's going to happen? How are you going to be different? Where are you going to be? Think about what's motivating you right now to achieve these goals. Because I know when I achieve whatever it be X, I'll be in a better position to service my clients. Okay, maybe. I'll be securing more deals. I'll have more quality time with my family and my friends. I'll be able to buy that condo on the beach, or maybe a new sports car, or that great new road bike for your triathlon races. I don't know what it is. But whatever your goals might be, right, I want you to visualize your results and put that vision statement of why you want to pursue these goals and where you're going to be somewhere you can refer to again and again and again. Setting goals is fantastic. Tracking the activities behind the goals will let you achieve that. But unless you understand the motivation, the why, it's not going to matter. You'll never be driven as much as you can be to achieve those goals. Secondly, I want you to focus on your ideal client. I want you to think about the client that you enjoy working with the most, right? What are their needs going to be? What do you need to do to meet those needs, to service those, as well as differentiate yourself? How can you be completely client-oriented? What are you going to provide for them? And what I want you to do most of all is I want you to lift your head up. As a friend once told me, lift up your head, look around, see what's going on in the marketplace, and identify the opportunities you know you can position yourself to certainly assist with in 2020. So that was a big step. Think about that reaffirmation, looking at outlining some goals, right? And then I said, hey, get 2 key goals you want to achieve. Focus on those first and foremost, and then we can start working on other goals as well. Don't forget, we're not quite done yet. We got one more step to go. And that last step, well, that's the refinement, right? Now we got to finely tune the goals that you're going to identify and figure out how to get there. Now, it's one thing to state, I'm going to build a robust target prospecting campaign or whatever you wrote down. It's another thing to identify and commit the necessary action steps outlining how you're going to achieve those goals. Think back to the visualization of the goal. Now, it's great, but now we've got to make it happen. Think back to those smarter goals I shared with you earlier, right? The idea of something being specific and measurable and actionable and realistic, time-bound, exciting, and relevant. So, for example, if you identified having a comprehensive targeted prospecting campaign as one of your goals, we need to identify who the target audience is first and foremost. And we have to do this by a certain date. You also need to validate their information, whether you do it yourself or you outsource it. Of course, we recommend that you outsource it. You have to validate their phone numbers, their emails, and the like, right? By a specific date. So you have this list of targets. And now, by those established dates, you've identified the target audience, right? Validate their information. And you know now you have time to contact them. Now you need a plan to go about it, right? A plan to get their attention. So when you think about prospecting, there's only 3 ways to prospect. Again, the discipline act of asking for business. And I don't include emails here at all. Absolutely not. But certainly you could have a letter approach. So maybe there's a part of your prospecting goal where you have to have a certain number of letters per week. And that's a different kind of metric. That's a frequency metric. For example, I'm going to write 10 prospects every week. Of course, the number of letters might be 5, it might be 20, it might be 30. I wouldn't suggest anything more than, let's start with 20 from a follow-up standpoint. So then every week you're going to do this consistently. 20 letters every week. So now, of course, you need to draft a prospect letter. When you're going to get that done. Now, also you need to identify both date-specific action steps and recurring and or frequency action steps. Now, it's important to understand this, right? You've identified your audience, maybe some letters, maybe you're going to revisit your call approach, and maybe you're going to have several call approaches and practice those approaches with your colleagues, with yourself, with your family, your friends. Ultimately, you're going to have to call your targets, right? Some calls will go great, obviously, some won't. But what matters most is implementing the action plan and making progress. Perhaps you look at a specific approach that could take by certain dates. And of course, this is a huge one, the number of calls you're going to attempt every week. That's a weekly metric, and it converts to a daily metric, which of course, we don't really set monthly metrics because those are way too overwhelming. So, for example, don't set a goal of perhaps 400 calls per week. There are other things you have to do in your business besides prospecting. Yes, if all you did was prospect calls, you probably could hit 400 attempted calls a week. But you won't be winning and or fulfilling business at the same time. So let's set a realistic goal. Are you going to call 30 people a day, 50 people a day, 10 people a day? Whatever it might be, let's make sure it supports your financial target. Perhaps start with a frequency goal, calls attempted, maybe calls completed. And then, of course, the final prospecting method really is the prospect meeting. Now you're calling, you're sending prospect letters, you're doing all the right things from a prospecting approach. And again, there's date specific and there's reoccurring activities, weekly, daily, and the like. Now, allow me to give you 2 key suggestions. Number 1, start small. Again, start small and build winning streaks. Don't say to yourself, I'm going to make 1,000 calls, right? Now, I realize I'm being ridiculous, of course, but that's the point. I don't want you to put something out there that you're not going to achieve. You must reach these goals, obviously, but let's put them out there where they're reachable at least. And through hard work and dedication and consistency, you'll achieve these metrics. Don't make metrics unrealistic. They'll deflate you, right? They'll demotivate you, and they'll create the opposite effect of what you are seeking. Instead, think, hey, this first week, I'm going to make 20 calls. I'll make 4 calls a day, every day between the hours of 9 and 9:30. And those will be attempted calls. Or perhaps you have a completed call goal. So therefore you need a completed call metric. Then you'll do it and it will sound easy. It's okay. Again, start small, build winning streaks. Suggestion 2, how do you make these goals happen? How do you make sure you achieve these goals? Want to know how? Simple. Share them. Share them, share them, share them. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your colleagues, those who are positive and have a positive influence, share with them. Don't share your goals with the naysayers. And we all have naysayers in our lives. Oh, you could never do that. Oh, don't be ridiculous. Told you we're never going to make that happen. Forget those folks. Share with just positive influence in your life. Those fans, those supporters, they'll cheer you on. They'll ask you, how you doing? What I find is that whenever I share my goals with my family, my friends, or my influencers, or even my coaches, I feel actually a little more pressure, right, to achieve them because I don't want to let them down. Heck, I don't want to let myself down or my family down. And those positive influencers, they'll ask me how it's going. And I better tell them it's going pretty good. I'm getting there. Or they'll let me know I got to get back on track. So share your goals with the positive people that surround you. Hey, those are the 7 steps to making your best year yet. That's a lot of steps, a lot of information, but don't forget, we're going to make this easy for you. All you got to do is go to our website, massimo-group.com, and download the 7 steps to your best year yet workbook. And from that workbook, take these notes. You'll follow there, complete your workbook. And yeah, I'd love to hear what goals you set for yourself for 2020. So please be sure to share those with me. Now, speaking of sharing, right, sharing goals, please share this podcast with your colleagues, your friends, and all your family members. Let them also receive the gift of making next year their best year yet. I am so excited for you. I'm so excited for the Massimo show. This first year has been terrific. And next year, our lineup is already incredible. More best practices, more great minds, all sharing what you can do to grow the professional and personal margin in your life. Until next time, this is Rod Santomassimo with the Massimo Show. And please, please have a very joyous holiday season, a very prosperous new year. God bless you all. Looking forward to 2020, making it all for everyone our best year yet. Take care. Hi, this is Rod Santomassimo, president and founder of the Massimo Group. And did you know that for over the past 11 plus years, we've worked with thousands of independent contractors, solopreneurs, and small business owners just like you in repositioning their and/or their team's efforts so they can build the personal, professional practice they've always dreamed of. We provide coaching programs for all levels of experience, earnings, and yes, success. So if you're finally ready to get off that transaction treadmill and chasing deals that are growing nowhere and start building the personal, professional business and life consisting of greater wealth and more time, well, check us out at Massimo.coach. That's Massimo.coach.